All right, Robin's weight journey part 2. So if you have seen the video before this, I'm wearing the exact same thing. That's how you'll know. Then you know this video is gonna go more in depth to my issues with weight over the years, and I want to get it out get it all out now, because even just talking about it a little bit in the previous video, started to cry, and just all these thoughts are running through my head and all these different memories, and things I want to share, or things I don't really want to share but probably should share, just because I want to be honest with people, and I want other people to know that if they're going through the same thing, that they're not alone, and it doesn't always have to stay there, but also not that I've arrived, but that I'm still pressing to learn to really fully embrace the woman God made me, every part of me, so I think I'll start with a little bit of background. I was always like a chubby kid growing up, and I think the way our family was, my older sister was always smaller than I. She also was more athletically inclined, and by that I mean she showed more initial interest in like sports that require a lot of activity, right? So she was on the soccer team for a while. I don't know how long actually she was on the team, but that just never happened to me. And I think that made me at a young age be like, when I'm an adult, when I have kids, I want to make my kids be involved in physical activities, not just, and then to encourage your child, right? Like, I think that's something that something I learned, that even if my child doesn't have like a leaning towards some sort of physical activity, I would still encourage it and try to find ways to be physical as a family, because I think you have to be mindful of that when a child doesn't naturally have that inclination. Just like with anything, they may not naturally like broccoli, but sometimes you have to introduce them to something because it's good for them, right? And the reality is, whether you're skinny or not, being physically active, keeping your heart rate going, is good for you and your physical body. Also, being a part of a team helps with just social development, all these different things, right? So I just, in hindsight, or I guess in the future, for me, I want to have a active family. From the time my kids are young, I want us to go on walks together, ride our bike. Like, I just want us to do things together. Because I also noticed people would start making comments about, family members make comments about my weight. And it wasn't always like mean, but it would be like, they would make a very serious point of commenting on the fact that my size was bigger than my sister's. And I remember in particular, somebody who was very sweet, loved me, was never like mean or vindictive. Like, I never had any ill will towards this person, still don't, still love them. But they were buying us clothes, and they were like, now Robin, she's younger, right? But she's a bigger size. And it was so innocent, right? Like, that doesn't seem mean, but it was like, oh, I guess this is a problem, and so like, when you keep hearing things like that over time, I think for me it was like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And then what I plan to do, if the Lord sees fit to allow me to get married and have kids, I plan to emphasize healthy eating and an active lifestyle for all my children, regardless of their body type. And I don't mind, and I think also it's different to say to a chubby child, or a child that you consider chubby, like, hey, don't eat this cake, you need to lose weight. But you don't explain to them like why their sibling can eat cake. You know what I mean? Like, you I think in doing that, you make them feel like something's wrong with them, and it may not be, right? Like, that could be their build. I'm not saying don't encourage them to eat healthier, but also, like, if the whole family's eating cake and you're eating the same thing as the whole family, and you're the only one that gains weight like that, you don't know to do any different. You don't know to be better. And you don't want to be the only kid eating broccoli when everybody else is eating ice cream, and as a child, you don't understand that. Anyway, my point is, I do want to, I think to say to a child, hey, you should work out more, is different than saying, hey, let's go for a walk together. You know what I mean? Like, I think even that slight change is like, you care about, yeah. just for me. And it could be, honestly, that nobody said anything wrong to me. But I think even if it was said in the nicest of ways, the way I heard it was always like, there's something wrong with you, and you don't quite hit the mark of what you should be because of your size, because of your weight. And that was really hard. I think that was hard. And the thing is, what we have to realize, what I've had to come to realize and be reminded of, is Satan will try to use anything he can to get you. At a young age, he'll start, but he'll just use it as long as it works, right? So the things that were said to me could have been said with the best intentions. I could be remembering it wrong, but the way I heard it was like, it was like, you're just not good enough. And the thing is, like, it wasn't just family members that would then say stuff. It was I got picked on at school, and I didn't tell my parents. Honestly, I didn't even think about it. Like, I don't know why. I think even that was a strategy of the enemy. Like, there's a season in my life where I felt like I was very outgoing as a child, very like open and whatever. And then I think that part of me felt pretty beaten up, and I started to just kind of turn very inward and be very guarded. And that pattern in my life, up and down, ebb and flows for years. I'm the most free, the most confident, the most excited I've been about life that I can ever remember. I mentioned this before, like, these kids, man, kids can be so brutal. I can, like, when I tell you I can still picture it, there was a couple times this happened, but one time in particular I remember. I was in 4th grade. Was it 4th or 5th? Nope, it was 4th grade. Mrs. Faust was my teacher, and I don't remember what I did that people were mad at me. I have no idea. But these girls were passing around this picture, and it was me, right? It had my name on it, but it was a pig, like a literal pig, and she was singing because I like to sing. And I remember that happened, I think, at least 2 or 3 times, where they drew me as a pig, and they would pass this little note around, and it was like a little whatever funny thing. And yeah. Anyway, it was. Let me tell you something. Whew. I get why some children leave middle school and high school so broken, because it can be rough, and especially if you don't feel like you have that outlet, or you don't tell people, and you're just like internalizing all of it, and it's just sitting in there. It's rough. I still have to say, I just had really just a poor image of who I was physically, and I felt like I had to overcompensate, make up for it, fix it, hide it somehow. It was terrible. It was terrible. And I think honestly that also had to do with, like, there were a lot of purity issues in there too. And then even just like how I saw male-female relationships just got tainted in there. It was just a mess, right? I don't remember much about my weight after the last couple years of high school. I still didn't love it, but I was cheerleading, so I was more active. I wasn't dating anybody. Oh, I was seeing this guy, but he was like, I do remember this. He was 6'3", and he was like a football player. So I felt like I was a fine weight for him. You know what I mean? Like, when we would be together, I never felt like this looks weird, whatever. And then I went to college, and I definitely felt heavy. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like how I looked. And then, it is really crazy how Satan will use different things to trip you up, or to try to get you to be deceived about who you are. I had a bad breakup in college, and I mean, in general, I think I felt like the guys around me, like these, petite women with these little bodies and whatever. And what I did notice is there started to be this comparison that I would like, I noticed like I would just compare myself to all these women and just be like, man, I wish I looked like them, and just get very jealous and very insecure. And I felt like, man, if I look like them, nobody would treat me bad. Nobody would be unfaithful. Nobody would leave, like, and I, for a long time, I just felt like trash. I just felt like, but it's crazy too. I think I grew up thinking if men give you attention, that somehow validates your attractiveness, and yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. So then the opposite of that is if a man rejects you, that talks about your value too, like that you don't have much. And it's just so crazy because it's just so crazy. It's so crazy how Satan will use these different things and try to get you to like feel badly about who you are. I was being self-absorbed, so consumed with people's opinions of me and so consumed with how people thought of me and like how they treated me, and it just was awful, right? So to this day, I mean, I haven't dated much in my life, but I do remember one of the guys, like, I used to always feel like when he would say something about my weight, I just always felt like I could feel myself tightening up, even if it wasn't like directly. I just felt like, I don't know. It would hurt me. It would cut so deep. And I remember, like, there were times that we would argue. I would start an argument about it because it was such an area that was it was just a soft spot for me. And even the last guy I dated, he was really nice. And like, what I appreciate about that relationship is we had been friends for a long time. So we had this like, I feel like I could trust him, like I could say something that may seem ridiculous and he could be like, okay, well, let's walk this back. Like, let's talk this through, without making me feel like an idiot, and I appreciate that. And I remember when we talked, I could be really honest, like gut level honest. And he knew at this point I was a vegan, I was gluten free, and I had naturally kind of like lost some weight. I was living near a gym. I joined, and that I had joined. I was excited. Like, and this is the crazy thing. I like working out. I like doing physical activities, but I think I hadn't found one that was like particularly exciting to me. But now I love it. I love running. I think I wish I had started earlier because I could have avoided so much. But it's all part of my story. It's all part of what God's doing in my life. So I don't begrudge it. But yes. Anyway, but this guy I was dating, he knew I cared about being in shape. And at one point, he said something about my weight one day. And I just cried. I was so hurt. And he was like, it was, even that led to a really good conversation because he was like, listen, I don't want to hurt you. I don't feel like I feel like you're fine. Like, and I don't know, I think he said it, I'm sure he said it in a very kind way, but it just hurt so deep. But we talked about it. And I was like, listen, I'm the type of person, oh no, this is what he said. I was eating and he said something about how much I was eating and I was so upset. And I think as soon as he said it, my face fell and he could tell I was hurt. And so we talked about it and I was like, listen, that's okay if you tell me, like, I know you have these weight goals. I want to help you honor them. Like, how can I help? And so I was like, listen, you know what I mean? Like, or count calories? I don't want to do that. I want to eat in moderation. I do believe in that. So I think even then we opened up dialogue for, okay, if I notice you eating a lot of junk food, how can I approach this so that encourages you and doesn't cause you to shut down or feel like I'm attacking you? Which I think are good conversations to have, whether you're dating or friends. Like, how can we better communicate? I think that effort in relationship to me means so much because it means I value you so much that I don't want you to be stagnant. I don't want to just turn a blind eye. I don't want to be your yes man because I care about your growth and development, but also I want to be sensitive to you as a person and make sure that what I say does indeed build you up and not tear you down. Those type of conversations and intentional friendships are like gold to me. Gold to me because it's like, bro, you're in this, I'm in this, we're going to fight together. You're going to pray for me. You're going to go to the Lord for how we can communicate better. We're going to talk about how we can communicate better. We're going to get to the root of stuff. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So anyway, that was a really good turning point for me, because it showed me that at 20, I don't know, 7, 8, it still was such a deep rooted thing. Like, it still hurt. It still was hard. I also realized a few years after that I tend to be an emotional eater. That's something the Lord has helped me out of too. I think this cleanse is a big part of me being free of that. But yeah, I think in the years after that breakup, I ate my feelings. I ate a lot of my feelings. And I found that the last few years have been a little hard. And I've eaten quite a few of my feelings. The first part of quarantine was very hard. I ate a lot of my feelings. You know, like, I've realized over the last couple of years that I have some unhealthy ways of processing, which is another reason I'm grateful for this YouTube channel, because it's another way I can process and not gain weight, but also not buy stuff I don't need, or not act out, or not, you know what I mean? Like, not just sit and cry all day, but hopefully it helps somebody else. So anyway, but yeah, this is what I've learned about weight. Or this is, I guess, my journey with weight. My goal is to be so free that somebody who I love could walk up to me and consistently tell me that I'm fat, and that it wouldn't hurt my feelings, or it wouldn't cause me to see myself as less than, or even cause me to look at myself differently in the mirror, you know? Because ultimately, like, how I look for somebody else or to somebody else is not the gauge. It's not the ultimate valuation of who I am as a woman, who I am as a person, who I am as a friend, like as a wife. None of that stuff. But I think it's really important for me to learn that now. I mean, I wish I learned it before, but I don't want to waste any more time trying to be someone I'm not, or trying to have a certain body type so I can be more attractive, or so I can feel like no one's going to cheat on me, or so I can feel like no one's going to make fun of me, or whatever. But ultimately, my first thing should always be to honor God. To honor God by, first of all, proving to Him that I'm a good steward of this body. And then also, I want to live long. I plan on living a long time, y'all, and not being like hunched over running. I want to be 90 running, like healthy, picking up my great grandkids, you know, like I'm not going to wait till I'm 80 to start, you know? So anyway, I think I mentioned briefly, like when I was doing this cleanse, that a friend of mine commented that she could tell I was losing weight, which is fine. And that's not like a bad thing. But I think also sometimes I feel like, I know for me, I've heard people say that. I'm like, well, like, I could be doing some very unhealthy things to lose weight. But my issue, like, but if you are only saying congrats, you're losing weight, and you don't care about whether I'm healthy or how I'm losing the weight, I don't like that much, you know? And you're assuming that because I'm a size that looks better to you, that I'm healthy, and that's not necessarily the case. And I don't want us to miss that, you know? So anyway, I do think it's important that we emphasize health over size. But yeah, anyway, this is where I am with body stuff, with weight stuff. I really don't like to talk about it because you can see it's a place of vulnerability. And I even feel like, I don't know. Our pastor says, forward ever, backward never. And I think about that with this whole weight thing. You know, I want to move forward. I want to be in a place where I'm healthy. And that's my primary concern, is my stewardship before God and my health for long life, you know, to take care of this body. I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm trying. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Yeah, this was, I told you, I'm a verbal processor, so this has been helpful to me. And I appreciate whoever's out there listening. But thanks anyway. Love you guys.